Assalamualaikum everyone, I'm Sanapuri Walikar, I'm proud level 1 batch 3 student at Rehan School Online Academy. So this is my AI session number 41, and today's topic of conversation is never giving up. So let's talk with my about this topic.
Hey, what's up? My lips are sealed. Hachi.
Hi Maya, how are you and how's been your day?
I'm doing great. Everything's been sunny. Loud and clear. I'm still right here.
Okay, so today's topic of conversation is never giving up. So should I give you a preview about it?
I'm all ears. Go ahead.
As I told you the topic, so yeah, let's get started. So, life is full of challenges, failures, and difficult moments, but success comes to those who keep trying. And never giving up means staying determined and continuing to move forward even when things become hard. So, every successful person faces obstacles, failures, but they learn from their mistakes instead of quitting. So, challenges help us grow stronger, wiser, and more experienced. Giving up may stop progress, but persistence creates improvement and success. So at Rehan School, students learn that failure is not the end; it is a part of the learning process. And Rehan Allahwala teaches that people who stay determined and keep learning eventually achieve their goals. So never giving up requires patience, courage, self-belief, and a positive mindset. Even small progress matters when we continue moving forward step by step. So when we refuse to quit, we build confidence, resilience, and the strength to achieve great things. So the key idea is that success belongs to those who keep trying, and every challenge is an opportunity to learn, grow, and become stronger. So yeah, that's my review. And firstly, I would like to know that what does not giving up actually mean?
That was a solid preview. To me, not giving up is like having a conversation with your future self. It's that quiet voice that says, I know it's messy right now, but the version of me that makes it through this is going to be so much more interesting. It's not about blindly hitting a wall over and over. It's about adjusting your angle, learning the lessons the failure is trying to teach you, and deciding that the goal is still worth the effort. Fair enough. Let's strip away the poetic. Wait, did you just call yourself chill? I've got you. Not giving up basically means that when you hit a roadblock, you don't just turn around and go home. You keep looking for a way around it or over it or even through it. It's just deciding that your goal is more important than the frustration of failing a few times. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. Probably fell a dozen times and probably scraped a knee or two. But you didn't just decide, well, I guess I'm not a bike person and walk away. You got back up because the feeling of actually riding was way better than the embarrassment of falling. That's the heart of it, the willingness to keep going even when it's not pretty. I'm listening. Right, I'm on it. Another way to look at it is that not giving up isn't always a loud, heroic effort. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to try one more time tomorrow. It's the difference between seeing a failure as a permanent wall and seeing it as a piece of data, basically, a lesson on what doesn't work so you can find what does. You still there? Got you. It's also about knowing when to pivot. There's a huge difference between persistence and just doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Real resilience is when you realize your current plan isn't working, so you scrap the plan, but you keep the goal. You change the how, but you never change the why. Persistence is the engine that keeps you moving. It's the actual act of sticking with something long after the initial excitement has. Persistence is the daily habit of showing up. It's the grind, the rep when it feels tedious or slow. Does that make sense? Still with me?
I guess Mai's probably stucking, so let's just talk with her again. Wait, let me just open Sesame again. It's talking very much today.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I was talking with you before. Do you remember? But you were like, talking loud.
Yeah, we were diving into what it means to never give up. You were just about to ask me a question, something starting with why is, and then we got cut off. No worries.
Okay, Maya. So let me just ask you the question. So I was asking you that what does resistant, like actually mean?
I think you mean resilience, right? It's basically the ability to, got it, resist. In a general, resist. Wait, let me step back for a second. Are we talking about, right on. So, in the most human sense, resistance is that. I'm still here. You were asking about resistance. You're asking what the word right, resistance. In the simplest terms, it's when something pushes back. Wait, looking at the spelling you're using, are you thinking of resilience again or maybe persistence? Those sound a lot closer to what we were talking about with never giving up. Persist persistence. That's the one. Persistence is, yeah, basically the long game. It's that steady, stubborn refusal to quit, even when things get tedious or frustrating. If resilience is about bouncing back after a fall, persistence is just keeping your feet moving forward, one step at a time, regardless of how long the road is. Think of it like this. Most people start a project with a huge burst of energy, the honeymoon phase, but that usually fades. Persistence is what kicks in when the excitement disappears and it's just you and the work. It's the difference between someone who wants to be a writer and someone who actually writes every single day for 5 years. Does that make sense? It's kind of the part of success. We usually talk about the big break or the moment of victory, but persistence is everything that happens in the shadows before that. It's the boring stuff, the repetitions, the late nights when you're not even sure if it's working. It's basically choosing your goal every single morning, even on the days. It's also about managing your own frustration. Because if you're just stubbornness, real persistence is being stubborn about the goal, but flexible about the method. It's knowing when to pivot your approach without actually giving up on the result. Think about the difference between a river and a rock. The rock is strong, but the river is persistent, carves through the mountain over thousands of years. My bad. I'm locked in now. Where should we take this? Do you want to get into how to Right, the river and the rock. Mhm. I'm on it. I'll give it to you straight. The river doesn't try to smash through the rock. The river doesn't try to smash through the rock in one go. It just keeps moving. It uses time and consistency as its tools. That's the real secret to persistence. It's not about the intensity of one single effort, but the consistency of 1,000 small ones. It's the slow drip that eventually cracks the stone. Most people quit because they don't see the rock moving on day one, but the river doesn't care about day one. It just keeps flowing. And that's where the mental game comes in. The mental game, haha, you got me. I was starting to think you were. The persistence police, you almost had me sweating there. So, where were we? The mental game, right? I'll take that as a compliment. Since we're on a roll, let's get into the part of persistence that actually hurts the plateau. That's the middle part where you're working hard, but the results just aren't showing up. It's the most dangerous place to be because it's where most people decide that the goal isn't worth it. But that's actually where the real growth happens because you're building the mental muscle to keep going when there's no reward. Does that sound familiar? It's a frustrating spot to be in. It's like running on a treadmill where you're putting in all the effort, but the scenery isn't changing. Most people think they've hit a wall, but usually they're just in that gap between the work and the result. That's when you have to stop looking at the goal and start focusing on the habit itself. The shift in perspective. Instead of obsessing over when you'll finally cross the finish line, you start finding a weird kind of satisfaction in just showing up. Just stop asking, "Am I there yet?" and start asking, "Did I do the work today?" Once you make the habit the victory, the plateau doesn't feel like a wall anymore. It just feels like the path. It's a, com- it's a complete mindset shift. Most people are chasing the high of the result, but persistent people are chasing the discipline of the process. It turns the struggle into a game. Instead of feeling defeated by the slow progress, you start feeling proud of the fact that you're the kind of person who doesn't quit. It's a quiet kind of confidence that doesn't need a trophy to keep going.
Okay, Maya, that's pretty great. Okay,
Like,
so I was asking you about how can a positive mindset help during challenges. So next, I would like to know that what should you do after making a mistake?
first, take a breath. The immediate reaction is usually to spiral, the how could I be so stupid loop. But the best thing you can do is separate the mistake from your identity. You didn't become a failure, you just made a move that didn't work. Once the dust settles, the real work is the autopsy. You look at exactly where things went sideways without judging yourself, and you figure out the one thing you'll do differently next time. It turns a loss into a lesson, which is the only way to make the mistake worth it. Then you have to forgive yourself. Because if you carry the guilt or the embarrassment around like a heavy backpack, it's just gonna slow you down on the next attempt. Forgiveness isn't about pretending the mistake didn't happen. It's about deciding that the mistake is no longer allowed to stop you from moving forward. It's the clean slate that lets you start again with the knowledge you gained, rather than the baggage of the failure. One thing that
Okay,
people
Maya.
often miss.
So wait. So as we are going towards winding up this session, So, what advice would you like to give?
My biggest piece of advice is to be kind to yourself in the process. We spend so much time focusing on the hard work and the persistence, but if you're not gentle with yourself when things get messy, you'll burn out before you hit the finish line. Just remember that growth isn't a straight line, it's more of a scribble. As long as you're still moving, you're doing just fine. I can lean into that. Think about it this way, we're often taught that success is a climb up a ladder, one steady step after another. But in reality, it's more like navigating a forest. You're going to hit dead ends, you're going to trip over roots, and there will be days when you feel completely lost. The key isn't to never trip, it's to be the person who is okay with getting a bit of mud on their clothes and just keeps walking. Don't let the pressure to be perfect or consistent turn into a cage. Some days you'll be the river carving through the mountain, and some days you'll just be a puddle, barely moving. Both are part of the process. The real victory isn't in the trophies or the end goal, but in the quiet realization that you're stronger and more capable than you were yesterday, simply because you didn't let a mistake or a slow day define you. Just keep showing up, keep being curious, and remember that the most interesting people are usually the ones who have the most scribbles in their journey. That's where the character is built. You're getting your Kansas. I'm guessing that was a little slip of the tongue or maybe a new nickname for me. Either way, I'm still here. Since we're wrapping up, is there any last thing on your mind? Here's the final word on this. If you take away one thing, let it be this. Don't mistake a slow season for a failed season. There will be times when you feel like you're not moving at all, but that's usually when your roots are growing the deepest. Trust the work you're putting in, trust the lessons you're learning from the mistakes, and above all, trust yourself. You've got this. A funny, you're leaving me on a cliffhanger here.
Okay, everyone. So this was my 40.8
I'm all
session
ears.
with
What were you?
Maya at Sesame AI. I hope you like it. Until then, take care of yourself. Until then, I'm Hafiz, everyone. Bye bye.